Thursday.
It is so freaking cool to be on stage with the next United States Senator from Maine. So for the first 2 years of my life, I lived in Sullivan. There's something in the water down east. When I was 4 years old, my parents bought a piece of land in Hancock and pitched a tent. My dad was a self-employed carpenter. My mother was working nights in the light bulb filament factory in Sullivan. And my sister was 3, my brother was 2. In their spare time, they dug out an old cellar hole. And that's where we lived that following winter. And I remember that cellar hole because one night a storm came in, water starts coming into the basement. We pile into our single vehicle, drive up here to Bangor, well, not Old Town, but Bangor, where my uncle lived. And this was before cell phones. The door was locked. He wasn't home. So we turned around and drove to Goldsboro, where we had some friends, and that's where we spent the night. Right? So I believe in housing first, because if you don't know where you're spending the night, everything else falls away. Yeah. So I worked my way through high school and college. I waited tables, I worked retail, I was a Subway sandwich artist. And after college, I went into the Peace Corps as a small business development volunteer, in AmeriCorps, as a Vista, on educational and economic empowerment. And then my life changed when I became a national field organizer for the National ACLU.
Yeah.
Working on voting rights, marriage equality, abortion. And I'm so grateful to Maine People's Alliance because, 20 years ago, I came home to Maine to run the ACLU of Maine. And we started with Maine Won't Discriminate in 2005, because back then it was legal to discriminate against the LGBTQ folks, to kick people out of school because they were gay or lesbian, to refuse to rent them an apartment. So we won that campaign, and 3 weeks later, Equality Maine and I and a couple of others got in a room and we started planning marriage equality. We worked on that. People's Alliance, I worked on same-day voter registration, criminal justice reform, marijuana. When I ran against Susan Collins, I was the first candidate in the country to endorse legalization of marijuana, the first federal candidate to do it. Right? But times have changed, and people are hungry for true progressive leadership who will speak truth to power, who will address the corrupt systems that we're stuck in. Right? As I'm running for governor, not only to stand up to Trump, not only to protect democracy, but to deliver on an economic New Deal for Maine. Yes. To tax millionaires in our state, but also to freeze property taxes for Maine residents and pay for it by doubling property taxes on out-of-state property. We have universal health care for all. And let's pay our teachers a living wage so they don't have to use the frickin' food pantry. Universal child care, universal teaching for 3-4-year-olds. Let's make Maine a place of economic opportunity for young families to live and work and prosper.
Yes.
And here's the other thing. When Grandma's senator and I'm your governor, we're going to fight back against Donald Trump. Now, I've been doing so as your secretary. I was standing up to Trump before it was popular. I ruled he wasn't eligible for the ballot in 2024 because January 6th was an insurrection. I was swatted. My husband and I had to go live in a safe house. But every day I drove to the office to do my job, to speak truth, to stand up for democracy because I won't back down to bullies. And last summer, when Trump's DOJ came for your personal voter data and every American's voter data, I was one of the first secretaries of state in the country to say, hell no, go jump in the Gulf of Maine. And we built a coalition, 30 states, Idaho, West Virginia, New Hampshire, that are standing up to protect our elections this year, to protect your voter data. We're fighting back in court, and we are winning. And when ICE came to me this winter for that corrupt Operation Catch of the Day, they wanted undercover license plates. Now I run the BMV, and I said, no, there are no secret police in a democracy. Now I'm not taking any big corporate PAC money. I'm not taking any dark money from out of state. We are grassroots funded. Yeah. We are people powered. Over 75% of the money I've raised has been from Maine, and 66% has been in donations of $50 or less. And that is why, with the progressive backing of Maine People's Alliance and the teachers, the Maine Education Association, the Community Organizing Alliance, and Sierra Club, and MSEA-SEIU, we are going to win in November. We're going to elect Graham Platner and Shenna Bellows for governor. Now I'm going to speak for 1 minute about Graham and turn it over to him. So I have known Graham's family forever because we're neighbors. And I'm 51, so a little older than Graham. So when we were kids, like, I don't think I knew he existed. but I knew his parents. And Leslie and Bronson, and his stepdad Joel, his family, they're good people. And Graham, Leslie kept saying, you gotta meet my son. You gotta meet my son, he's an organizer. And so I met him. And remember a year ago when Trump first got elected? Remember what the pundit said? The pundit said, the resistance is over. Remember that? Yeah. And so my mom called me and she said, there's this guy and he's organizing these rallies in Ellsworth. And there's so many people. It's so cool. You gotta check it out. It was Graham. And then Graham called me, and the rallies had gotten so big that the Ellsworth PD wanted to shut them down, wanted to charge them a couple $1,000s. So I connected him to the ACLU. He didn't need the ACLU. And so I went to check it out for myself, and here there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in Ellsworth, Maine, standing up against the Trump administration. And it was Graham Platner organizing the resistance in Hancock County. Thank you so much, Graham. I'm so excited to
Well, thank you, Shenna. It is an absolute honor to be joined on this stage by, I think, the single best Secretary of State in the United States. To live a life of at least basic fulfillment. You got to own your home. You got to put decent food on the table. You got to have access to health care for you and your family. You could send your kid to a decent school that wasn't that far away. Hell, I knew clammers that put their kids through college. I'm 41 years old, and in my lifetime, that kind of hard scrabble, hard work that we have taken pride in for generations, it ceased being enough. And it's not because we stopped working hard. Mainers didn't stop working hard. But we have a system now that has been built diligently over decades by establishment politicians like Susan Collins. A system that has been built specifically to make sure that that hard work, it doesn't pay off for you.
Right.
It pays off for them.
Right.
It pays off for health insurance CEOs. It pays off for private equity companies that now own your veterinary practice. It pays off for the financial institutions that have turned everything you need into a speculative financial tool, including your homes, which, by the way, got us 2008, and that didn't work very well. These outcomes that we live in, the struggles that every day Mainers go through every day, the fact that our hard work isn't enough, it isn't natural. It's not organic. This reality we live in, it didn't have to be this way. We live in the outcome of policy. That's it. And policy can be changed. But to do it, we're going to have to build power the old-fashioned way, because no one that built the system we are in, no one from that is going to come down here and save us. We're going to have to find it in each other. And the way we do it is we organize. We build trust and relationships. Those of you who have organized in this room before, you know that it's difficult on a fundamental level. You have to go out into your community and you have to tell people what you believe. You have to have conversations with your neighbors and your friends, and you know they're going to be hard, and you got to have them anyway, because we need to find common ground again. We need to realize that our neighbors are not our enemies. The working people of Maine, every single person in this state, we all have the exact same material needs. We all need roofs, we all need health care, we all need food, we all need education for our families, we all need safety in our communities. We all need the same thing. It doesn't matter who you voted for when the hospital closes, the hospital closed. And the hospitals are closing. They're closing because Susan Collins and the Republican Party cut Medicaid and Medicare just so they could fund tax cuts for billionaires and corporations.
Get rid of them.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
And here's the thing. So some folks will say, build more housing, and certainly we need to build more housing. And I propose a housing corps. Let's, just like Peace Corps, AmeriCorps, let's create a program at the state level for folks to come to work as carpenters, electricians, plumbers, rehabilitate derelict housing that's in all of our communities, and put people into it. We also need to double down on two things. I think we should expand. There's this great program in Portland called Project Home, and they provide the security deposits for people to move into rental housing that is safe and healthy for them. But for folks who can't afford first month's, last month's rent, security deposits, it's just out of reach. So I think the state should go big on a statewide program to help people get into rental housing that they can afford, because they can afford perhaps the monthly rent but not get into it. And I also think, homeownership has been the source of wealth for working class people in this country for a long time, until now, right? Because in Maine, most people, regular people, you can't afford a home, much less land, even land. So I think we need to double down on a first-time homebuyers program. And the state, again, should back the down payment so that people can start building equity earlier. And I think we should look into social housing for young people and build community-based senior housing for seniors so that they can exit their homes and free that up for the rest of the market. And we should be thinking about co-ops where people can build equity where they live. So I think we need to go very big and be really creative. But I think this is a fundamental issue of justice.
Would you like to say anything on incorruptibility?
That's already proved.
So you don't run the ACLU if you think you have a future in politics, right? And when my Republican state senator retired and I decided to stop trying to tell elected officials what to do and instead be one and make the decisions, people say, you're never going to win, you're too liberal. This is a Republican district. I think they said it to you too, Mike, didn't they? And I won a competitive primary. The Republicans threw everything that they had at me. And I learned something really important. I didn't have a voting record. but they just lie. And so I learned, it doesn't matter what you do when you're elected. Do what's in your heart. Do what you believe. I won a state Senate district that voted for Donald Trump and voted for me in 2016. And I had a 100% record with the Maine People's Alliance for my entire term in the state Senate. 100% record with the Maine AFL-CIO, the environmental groups, Planned Parenthood, Equality Maine. And I kept getting reelected, even though the 11 towns in my state Senate district voted for Trump in 2024. You know why? You know what voters are craving? You know what they're sick of? They're sick of phoniness.
Yes.
They're sick of politicians that say one thing and do another, or put their finger in the air to be like, oh, which way is the wind blowing? The hell with that, right? And so in this race, you're going to hear from doubters who are going to say, oh, Graham's too progressive. Oh, or Shenna's too progressive. You're going to hear like, oh, they're too liberal. It just F that. Right? Like, the people that we grew up with who work on the water for a living or who build houses, the people that we grew up with just want someone who's going to tell it like it is, who's going to do what they say they will do.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you a story. After I ruled that Trump wasn't eligible for the ballot, the Republicans tried to impeach me twice. I was touring polling places in Bucksport. Bucksport is not the most liberal town. It's got a Republican rep, a Republican senator.
We're working on it.
This guy comes barreling up to me. Are you Shenna Bellows? And I didn't say, nope, it's Shenna, it rhymes with Jenna. I just said, yep. He said, I hear you on the radio all the time. And I knew it wasn't NPR. I go on WVOM a lot because I think we need to talk to people where they're at. Voice of Maine, Rick Tyler. I said, yeah. He said, and I kid you not, you and Donald Trump are my favorite politicians. But you always say what you mean.
Right.
And that's what Graham does.
That's right.
That's why he's winning. That's why he's electrified this state.
That's right.
That's why he is going to trounce Susan Collins. And that's what I'm going to do too.